Today is Tuesday, November 14th, and I'm just wondering about an unusual collection of football notes.
Are all financial advisors fiduciaries? Fewer than you think. Not knowing could reduce your lifestyle. Hi, I'm Mitch Kramer, founder and CEO of Fluent Financial. A fiduciary is a regulatory term to reduce conflicts of interest in wealth management. A fiduciary always works in your best interest. A non-fiduciary advisor might put their compensation or company ahead of yours. At Fluent Financial, we are certified financial planners acting as fiduciary advisors. To learn more, go to fluentfinancial.com or Fluent Financial's YouTube channel.
Okay, so A&M's gotten rid of head football coach Jimbo Fisher. To get rid of him, they had to round up $77 million to pay off what's left of his contract. First of all, I'm wondering how you assemble that much money quickly. You can't obviously be calling 100 people and saying, hey, give me $1 million each, because then the word would get out. So it's got to be a pretty tight-knit schedule of calls. I can imagine whoever made the calls saying, Herb, this is so-and-so. Could you maybe spare 10 or 15 million so we can get rid of Jimbo? And how do they keep it quiet? Things like this leak all the time, as the White House can tell us. Jimbo Fisher was fired on Thursday, which means those calls had to start at least the weekend before. So this thing's been in the works by the time Jimbo gets fired more than a week with no leak. And then something I quite honestly can't ever remember in my sports life. On Saturday, Texas A&M in Jimbo's last game pounded Mississippi State. After that game, both head coaches got fired. I've never heard of that before. Jimbo's gone on Sunday, and Zach Arnett's gone on Monday. About that payoff, that $77 million, that is so far and away the largest coach payoff ever. Before the $77 million payoff of Jimbo Fisher, the highest amount ever given to a coach who was being kissed goodbye was Auburn giving Gus Malzahn $21.5 million. The Aggies' payoff, that's getting close to 4 times the highest amount ever before. And let's for a minute look at the SEC West. By the way, you people who root for Texas and Oklahoma may not want to hear this, okay? But consider what's happened in the NFC West, where Nick Saban has ruled the roost at Alabama since the guy with the tablets came down from the mountain. In the SEC West, Jimbo's been fired on Sunday from A&M, and Zach Arnett's fired on Monday from Mississippi State. Gus Malzahn was fired from Auburn after the 20 season. Ed Orgeron was fired from LSU after the 21 season. Mississippi fired Matt Luke after the 2019 season, and Arkansas fired Chad Morris after the 2009 season. Nick Saban's gotten every other coach in the SEC West fired in the last 4 years because everybody's been waiting for somebody to take Saban down, and it didn't happen.
Hey, I was just wondering, do you know the history of goodness steak seasoning? Well, back in 2010, I had a little bitty roast sitting in the fridge, and I thought, man, I've got to do something with this. So I took that roast, put a whole bunch of different spices on it, wrapped it up, put it on the grill. About 3 hours later, opened it up, and man, heaven in a foil package. That was the beginning stages of what goodness steak seasoning is today. So if you'd like to have a little variety in your life, Goodness Steak Seasoning is where it's at. Limited availability in stores. BringTheTasty.com.
Now to the NFL. Cowboy game. I wouldn't put a lot of stock in what happened against the Giants on Sunday. Oh, hey, any win in the NFL is a good win. No questioning that. But the numbers that came out of that game, they were funny numbers. They were ridiculous offensive numbers, things like that. The Giants are woeful. And during the game on Sunday, there were multiple arguments on the Giants sideline, and they're missing all sorts of starters. So, yes, be happy for the win, but don't interpret it as some kind of volcanic eruption by the Cowboys. We'll see about that as we go down the road. About the NFC, we're only at mid-season in the NFL, and already it appears the playoffs are all but determined in the NFC. In the NFC West, San Francisco and Seattle are each 6-3. And the other two teams, neither one's won more than 3 games. In the NFC North, Detroit rules the roost. Minnesota has 6 wins there in second. And the other two teams, they have 3 wins each. In the NFC South, well, New Orleans leads at 5-5, but the only team that's going to get in the playoffs from the NFC South is whoever wins that division. And then, of course, in the NFC East, there's the Cowboys and the Eagles. So we've got the 7 teams, the 4 division winners and the 3 wild card winners, it appears. The only one with a ghost of a chance of competing, it seems to be Washington, and they're 4-6, and Washington fans don't want to hear about their schedule just ahead. I thought it'd be fun to look at the NFC playoffs if they started today. By virtue of the best record in the NFC, Philadelphia gets the bye. And then Detroit, with the second best record, they get Minnesota, the worst of the wild card teams. And then the worst division winner, whoever that is, New Orleans, Atlanta, Tampa, they get the right now best of the wild card teams, that's Seattle. So in the first round of the playoffs, were they to start today in the NFC, San Francisco would be hosting the Dallas Cowboys. Uh-oh.
Just Wondering with Norm Hitzges is brought to you by Fluent Financial, O'Hill Roofing, and Goodness Steak Seasoning. Look for links in the description. Just Wondering is a production of VSP Media for FanStream Sports. You can find Norm's show along with other great programming at fanstreamsports.com.